Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamamsa Paripurajaka Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam reading with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026. Today we are beginning with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, and we are somewhere in text 39 purport.
Yes.
Guru,
Yes.
would you like to begin? That's all.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is 425.39. Dharmo Yatrartha Kamocha Vajanando Mritam Yashaha Loka Vishoka Viraja Yana Kevalino Vidavu. The woman continued, in this material world, a householder's life brings all kinds of happiness in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the begetting of children, sons and grandsons. After that, one may desire liberation as well as material reputation. The householder can appreciate the results of sacrifices, which enable him to gain promotion to superior planetary systems. All this material happiness is practically unknown to the transcendentalists. They cannot even imagine such happiness. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Miditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakodam Mahyam Tadati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrasatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Satvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ludita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindho Tina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vanchako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhopye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Please just give me one moment. So in this connection, Srila Prabhupada has undertaken a discussion of Pravritti Marg and Nivritti Marg, the path of enjoyment and the path of detachment. Now, there's been some, we've heard Vrittis Sarvabhutanam Nivrittischa Mahapalam. All living entities are interested in, but one gets the superior result by Nivritti Marg. Actually, however, Pravritti Marg is based on sex life. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yan Maitunadi Grihamedi Sukham Ituchcham. A householder who is too much addicted to Pravritti Marg is actually called a Grihamedi, not a Grahastha. Although the Grahastha desires sense gratification, he acts according to Vedic instructions. The Grihamedi, however, who is interested only in sense gratification, does not follow any Vedic instruction. The Grihamedi engages himself as an advocate of sex life and also allows his sons and daughters to engage in sex and to be deprived of any glorious end of life. A Grihastha enjoys sex life in this life as well as in the next, but a Grihamedi does not know what the next life is about because he's simply interested in sex in this life. On the whole, when one is too much inclined towards sex, he does not care for the transcendental spiritual life. Now, I have a relevant quotation, I believe. Yes, Prabhupada on a morning walk, May 3rd, 1976, said, Brahmachari, no sex life. Vanaprastha, no sex life. Sannyasi, no sex life. Only Grihastha, under control. That is Grihastha. Grihastha does not mean one who is doing everything whimsically on account of getting this concession. He's not Grihastha. He's Grihamedhi. Apashyatam atmatattvam griheshu grihamedhi nam. Morning walk in Fiji. So this is the business of the Grihasthas, to have sex life without following the Vedic restrictions. He thinks, now I have a license for sex, let me enjoy. And the restrictions are not required. And similarly, he engages himself as an advocate of sex life, Srila Prabhupada says. And so he teaches others that what are these restrictions? They're not practical, or they'll weaken your marriage, or they'll cause some mental crisis, or this or that. So don't follow these Vedic restrictions. You're married, so have sex as much as you like. This is the business of the Grihamedhis. But the Grihasthas also have sex, but according to the Vedic principles. In this age of Kali especially, no one is interested in spiritual advancement, even though it is sometimes found that one may be interested in spiritual advancement. He's most likely to accept a bogus method of spiritual life, being misguided by so many pretenders. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Gokula.
Hare Krishna, devotees, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was thinking about what we've been talking about and what we've been reading about. And I was thinking, so in the case of, let's say, retired old men, kind of pensioners, in the case of not, let's say there's two types of old men. An old man that's not married, but is attached to his wife, and an old man that is attached to his wife and irreligious, and an old man that doesn't have a wife and is also irreligious. Which one sits in a better position in terms of like?
This is another one of those questions. Which is worse, stealing diamonds or stealing rubies? Stealing, it's stealing. So why do we have to finally mince it and say, oh, well, these people are better than those people? The point is that life is not meant for sense gratification, and sex life is not meant for sense gratification, unrestricted. So we're not interested in, well, who's better, the person who stole this or a person who stole that? A person who's irreligious this way or a person who's irreligious that way? Do you want to choose which kind of irreligion you'd like better? I mean, what are we looking for here? The point is that one should follow. One should follow the Vedic principles Because even if we're going to favor pravriti marg, some restriction is required so that we make spiritual progress nonetheless. Otherwise, it's griha medhi life. Or the case of the person who's not married, you can say it's not griha medhi, but it's the same business. Where can I get sex according to my unrestricted demand?
Yeah. Maharaj, remember last week we were talking about how in marriage, a man is kind of like cleaned up by marriage. He's put together, he's kind of like situated.
Yes.
And so I'm speaking in the context of in the old age, in their old age, a man who is situated in marriage or by marriage and is cleaned up by marriage and is sorted out by marriage versus an old man who's single for whatever reason, his wife died or got divorced or he never got married. But in both cases, they are both irreligious because Maharaj, these days, there's a lot of men getting divorced, wives dying, and they are kind of like single in their 70s, playing golf all day, that kind of thing. So which one is better off?
But it's the same thing. Why do we have to do this? It's particularly pathetic when in old age. Old age is not meant for sex. Old age is not meant for sex. So you're pathetic, whatever you are, whether you're married or you're unmarried, you're pathetic. You're in your old age and you're trying to enjoy life by sex. This is Maharaj Jayādvaita was doing that. And he finally had the realization that he's just like a he-goat. His wife's like a she-goat and he's like a he-goat. Just busy in this animal life. Finally, he became disgusted and gave it up. So again, who's better? They're both pathetic. Old age, in your old age, this is what you're doing. Human life is meant for self-realization. Now it's almost finished. There's hardly any sense enjoyment anyway from sex in old age. And still you're trying to get something. It's sick. So why should we waste time? Which kind of sick is better? One should use old age for spiritual realization, not for the business of he-goats and she-goats. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Something else?
Yes. Saraswati Mataji writes, Pranams Param Puja Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas. Lord Ram had foretold Sita Mata how in Kali Yuga the criteria for marriages taking place will be based on this kama vasana, and success and failure of marriages will depend on this illicit life of sin. We often hear people talk of the needing chemistry between people as most important factor in marriages.
Well, there should be compatibility, of course. That is expected in marriages. Similar culture, similar inclination, similar in so many ways. But trouble with Kali Yuga is that it's just sex satisfaction. I like sex, you like sex, and as long as we like sex together, then this is very nice. But marriage means so many things. Compatible in so many ways, not just sex over everything. That's the fault of Kali Yuga. That's the fault of Kali Yuga. The wife should assist the husband in his duties, so if she's suitable for that, inclined to help in that way, and there's compatibility in that regard, then it's very nice. But if it's simply a question of sex and sex and sex, and that kind of chemistry, and then that will fail. Then you get failure in marriage, because the sex that we get at some point is not going to be the sex that we want, the sex that we imagine, the sex that we crave. At some point we'll say, it was better before, or we're not compatible, or But the real story is just that the sex satisfaction has waned. The novelty is gone. Or now, I married her when she was 20, now she's 40. Bah. And meanwhile, my income has gone up and I can get a nice 30-year-old who will love me to death. So when it's based on sex, and sex is what's the word? Notorious for being coming and going, for being unsteady, doesn't supply steady satisfaction and happiness. And especially when we're expecting more and more. And the wives who are trying to push sense gratification, sex, as the central point of marriage, they're setting themselves up for disappointment, because the husband will say, you're right, relationship is meant for sex and you're not that good at it. There's this younger girl who's better than you. So she's setting herself up for losing her husband. And they're both fools thinking in this way.
Pratipurna Madhavi Masaji writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, what should be the duty of more religious spouse in the marriage? What if less spiritual person wants to engage in sense gratification? Then how can more spiritual person handle it if the other party can't restrain sense gratification?
This is a question that can be asked of some mature grahasta. As a sannyasi, I don't want to get into this question. Diggers.
Nothing else in the chat.
The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary here, I won't read all of it, but she's speaking of the three goals, dharma, artha, and kama. She does not approve of the fourth goal, liberation, difficult to attain. This indicates that sattvic intelligence is criticized. Of course, from the spiritual point of view, recommending only the first three goals is a result of ignorance. So, as we've heard before, this is the identity of the woman that King Puranjana has encountered. She represents intelligence affected by ignorance. Pitridevarshi martyanam bhutanam atmanas chaha shamyam vadanti sharanam pavesmin yad grahashrama. The woman continued, according to authorities, the householder life is pleasing, not only to oneself, but to all the forefathers, demigods, great sages, saintly persons, and everyone else. The householder life is thus beneficial. Someone else like to read?
Saraswati Mashi, are you available?
Yes. Purport. According to the Vedic system, when one is born in this material world, he has many obligations. He has obligations to the demigods of the sun and moon, King Indra, Varuna, etc., because they are supplying the necessities of life. We receive heat, light, water, and all other natural amenities through the mercy of the demigods. We are also indebted to our forefathers who have given us these bodies, paternal property, intelligence, society, friendship, and love. Similarly, we are indebted to the general public for politics and sociology, and we are also indebted to lower animals such as horses, cows, asses, dogs, and cats. In this way, as soon as one is born in this material world as a human being, he has so many obligations and is bound to repay all these obligations. If he does not repay them, he is further entangled in the process of birth and death. The Gremedi, however, who is overly addicted to material things, does not know that if he simply takes shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, he is immediately freed from all obligations to others. Unfortunately, a Gremedi does not have any interest in Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishne parataha svatova mitu bipadyete grah vratanam. Bhagavatam 7:530. A grah vrata is the same as gremedi. One who takes sex life to be supreme finds action in Krishna consciousness confusing. Either due to his own personal consideration or due to his having taken instructions from others or conferring with them, he becomes addicted to sexual indulgence and cannot act in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So, Srila Prabhupada is referring to this verse, Devarshi Bhutapta Nanam Pitrinam Nakinkaram Nayam Rini Chirajan Sarvatmana Yasharanam Saranyam Kato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. The Devarshi Bhutapta Nanam Pitrinam Rini. One becomes a debtor to the devas, to the rishis, to other living beings, to one's relatives and forefathers, to human beings in general, because one is getting benefits from all of them. And Prabhupada discusses that. So it's not that all of this comes without any obligation. One is obliged to those who've provided for us in so many ways. But so one has to pay those debts, and by marriage, there are three ways of paying these debts. Maybe someone remembers. In any case, by marriage and having children, one fulfills one's debts to the forefathers by sacrifice to the demigods, and in this way. But the Sarvatmana Yasharanam Sharanam, if one full-heartedly takes shelter of Krishna, Mukunda, then all those debts are discharged. He doesn't have to separately do anything. The woman, of course, is not going to say this. The Her argument is, well, householder life, householder life, householder life, and it's going to be pleasing to the sages and the demigods and to the forefathers. You'll fulfill all your debts. So do it, it's great. And she's not going to say, take shelter of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, and be freed from all of these debts. That she won't say. Then Prabhupada quotes Prahlad Maharaj, Matirna Krishna Praditav Svatova. It's interesting here. Usually Prabhupada says that a person who's a grihavrata, who's addicted to sex life, family happiness, can't understand Krishna in spite of either on his own efforts or by conferring with others. But here, Prabhupada translates it a different way. Because of one's own personal sense gratification, either due to his own personal consideration or due to having taken instruction from others or conferring with them, he becomes addicted to sexual indulgence and can't become Krishna conscious. So it's a slightly different spin. In spite of hearing from others, he can't become Krishna conscious if he's addicted to sex. Or because of taking advice from others who are giving the wrong advice, he becomes addicted to sex and can't understand Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Saraswati Mashi writes, how is the householder life pleasing to sages and saintly persons?
Yes, the householders are performing prescribed duties, performing sacrifices. Householders are giving charity to saintly persons. So householder life is pleasing to all, pleasing to the sages, pleasing to the demigods, pleasing to the forefathers, pleasing to all humanity, pleasing to even the cats and dogs. Every cat and dog wants a nice home. So the householders will take care of the cats and dogs even, and the horses and so on. So householder life confers the greatest benefit on all and is pleasing to everyone. That's the commercial. Is that okay?
Praveen Prabhu writes, one devotee who advocate sex to save marriage quote this pastime of Prabhupada in Mayapur about a lady disciple whose husband went to someone else for sex. When Prabhupada asked why he did that, he said his wife did not want to have sex with him. And then Prabhupada later asked her, you can't satisfy him? How true is this?
I don't know. One thing is, I know there is a story about in Mayapur. Someone was going outside, I think, like that, and Prabhupada said something. He has a wife. Why is he going to others? These stories also get embroidered, you know. So, how true this account is that you've heard, I can't say. But there's also a story. Someone wanted to get divorced, and Prabhupada gave permission. And then later Shrutakirti asked why he'd given permission. Shrutakirti or Harishari, I think Shrutakirti. And Prabhupada said, well, if I'd refused permission, he would have done it anyway, and then it would have been would have been Guru Aparad. So one has to be careful with how one takes these stories and applies them. Certainly Prabhupada never came out and gave a general instruction, well, illicit sex is not good, but for saving marriages, well, that's another story. Certainly there's no public instruction like that, no general advocacy, no all points bulletin to his disciples that we know that you've promised to have sex only for the sake of having children, but if it'll save your marriage, if it'll keep everyone happy, then have sex without discrimination. Certainly there's no general instruction like that. Whether there was anything in some particular instance, I can't say. Is that okay? Ka nama vira vikyatam ladanyam priyadarshanam nabranita priyam praptam madrishi twadrisham patim. Oh, my dear hero, who in this world will not accept a husband like you? You are so famous, so magnanimous, so beautiful, and so easily gotten. Purport. Every husband is certainly a great hero to his wife. In other words, if a woman loves a man, that man appears very beautiful and magnanimous. Unless one becomes beautiful in the eyes of another, one cannot dedicate his whole life to another. The husband is considered very magnanimous because he gives as many children to the wife as she likes. Every woman is fond of children. Therefore, any husband who can please his wife by sex and give her children is considered very magnanimous. Not only does the husband become magnanimous by begetting children, but by giving his wife ornaments, nice food, and dresses, he keeps her completely under submission. Such a satisfied wife will never give up the company of her husband. Manu Samhita recommends that to keep a wife satisfied, a husband should give her some ornaments, because women are generally fond of home, ornaments, dresses, children, etc. In this way, the woman is the center of all material enjoyment. In this verse, in this regard, the word vikyatam is very significant. A man is always famous for his aggression toward a beautiful woman, and such aggression is sometimes considered rape. Although rape is not legally allowed, it is a fact that a woman likes a man who is very expert at rape. So this is the famous rape purport, and devotees have tried to explain it or reconcile it in various ways. And first of all, let's look at a couple of ways that, as far as I can see, don't work. One is to say that Srila Prabhupada didn't say it. It was inserted by the editors. It's some sort of editorial artifact. That really doesn't fly. It's not supported by the manuscript evidence. Another is to say that Srila Prabhupada didn't mean rape in the modern sense of the most common modern sense. He meant to carry off, which is also a meaning of rape. But that really is a stretch for several reasons. One is that Prabhupada never uses the word rape that way anywhere else. If you look through the Vedabase, you won't find rape used that way. Personally, I doubt whether he was even familiar with that usage of the term. And second, that there's another conversation where Srila Prabhupada essentially says what we find here, and it's very clear that, in fact, he was talking about a legal case of rape. So it's very clear that Prabhupada was entirely familiar with the most modern, most common use of the word rape, and that when he used it with full knowledge of what it is. Now, I've written an essay on this, and maybe I'll read it. It's actually an answer to a letter. Clearly, Srila Prabhupada does not intend to say that what women really want is, for example, to be mugged and violated in Central Park. When you look at the translation and purport for text 42 and consider the two purports together, you can get a better understanding of Srila Prabhupada's point. In essence, the male wants to conquer, and the female wants to be conquered. A woman does not want to be sheepishly asked her hand by a bashful, weak-kneed milk toast. Milk toast is a weak-kneed, a bashful, tentative person. She wants to be pursued and won, to be fought over by strong and eager suitors, to be swept off her feet. In that sense, a man is attractive to a woman when he's bold, strong, valorous, assertive, aggressive, manly, and so on. Hollywood knows this, and so we have box office stars like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, et al. When I lived in San Diego, I used to frequent a used bookshop, which, apart from the books I was looking for, had rows and rows of what the book trade calls romances. Novels for whom the intended readers are obviously women. These books are not high literature. They're formulaic, but they sell like mad, and even from the covers, the formula is obvious. Whatever the details of the storyline, the woman is won, conquered, overpowered, possessed by a strong, powerful man. I don't mean to say that women have no taste for higher literature. My point is simply that Hollywood and the book trade are tapping into primal psychological veins, where the blood, you can bet your millions on it, is sure to be flowing. The film producers and book publishers know the heart of their audience. Of course, rape carries with it images of guns, bruises, and brutal thugs, hardly what any woman hopes for. But the essential feature, a man who is strong and aggressive, is sexually attractive. The ultimate attractive male, of course, is Krishna himself. He carried off Rukmini Devi, snatching her like a lion from the clutches of the jackal Shishupal. Krishna married Satya after defeating 7 bulls. Krishna married Lakshmana by carrying her off at her Swayamvara ceremony, in the same way that Garuda snatched the jar of nectar from the hands of the demigods. And Krishna married 16,000 other wives after rescuing them from the demon Kalmasura. The rapists and romantic heroes of the material world are nothing but perverted reflections of Krishna. Krishna is the real object of love for all living entities. As long as we continue in material consciousness, identifying with our material bodies as male and female and forgetting Krishna, we have to continue forever as the cheaters and the cheated, the rapists and the raped in this miserable material world. And therefore, our real business is to develop our dormant love for Krishna. So that's my take on this purport. And yes, any questions?
Gokula Mashi.
It's horrible. And so, Maharaj, in this, we can
Loud, please,
also,
or
yes.
closer to your microphone or some way that we can hear you better.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can also say it in that the man is overwhelmed. This sex energy for him to rape, or what is called rape.
Yeah, well,
He's over
you can't say that.
maddened.
That's
He
what,
goes into psychosis.
excuse me?
He goes into psychosis, some sort of madness.
Yeah, well, sex is always psychosis. But yes, I mean, what sane person? But yes, the woman wants to attract a man. A woman is enjoys by attracting a man, and whether it's her husband or whether it's a boyfriend or whoever, and then of course she turns the man on, and so perfume and dress and one way or another sweet words to get the man going, and then the man becomes aggressive. The woman doesn't become aggressive, she becomes seductive. The cow doesn't run after the bull, but she attracts the bull, and the bull runs after the cow. So the woman turns the man on, as it were, and he becomes aggressive, powerful, manly, all of that. And then that becomes, oh, the woman's heart melts. He's a hero. He's done whatever he's done, all for me. And this is the ideal, not just that, guy was kind of interested, but he was a drip, and anyway, I guess so. I didn't know, and tentative. It's attractive. Even in the advertising world, there's sort of images of guys who are like, what is it called? Criminal chic. They're like bikers and criminals and so on. But there's sort of an excitement to that. That one of these heavy guys would want me. Anyway, the ins and outs of advertising and the psychology behind it. But and the famous, well, okay, we'll give a little more. Generally, it's understood that pictures and images of women get men excited. If they see the picture of a naked, half naked, quarter naked woman, then they get attracted. That's porn for men. Women are not attracted the same way. Picture of a half-dressed man doesn't make her go, oh my God. She doesn't lose control over that. But it's the relationship and the story that we find in these romance novels, where the man just becomes irresistibly attracted to her, and then becomes aggressive and bold and so on. And the classic example is appears in the film Clark Gable. Oh, what is that film about Scarlett O'Hara and all of that? No one remembers.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, thank you. Where Clark Gable, who's at least slightly drunk, just picks up the heroine. I've forgotten her name. She was married to that Shakespearean actor. Anyway, picks her up and sweeps her up the stair, big flight of stairs, and while she's, like kicking and resisting, and then you hear the door of the bedroom door slamming, and then the scene changes. And that's been cited as an instance of pornography for women, if you will, or a scene that has been cited many times as, even I think in some survey, for turning women on. The image of a powerful man like that who just takes control is deeply attractive. Okay, there's a question. I'm still not able to digest this last sentence in the purport. I cannot reconcile it at all. Women want to be respected, treated with delicate hands, and not be treated with lusty aggression that may lean toward violence. They don't want to be a mere object of someone's lust. Yeah, there's that's understood, that there's more to it than just what's the word? Unmitigated lust. Therefore, this has been noted that Prabhupada didn't say that a woman likes rapists, but a man who's expert at rape, it implies that there's some art to the matter. It's not just, a pistol and a heavy threat, but there's a sort of expertise at it. So it's been argued that Prabhupada didn't here mean rape, he meant seduction. I think that, what's the word? Doesn't really acknowledge what what Prabhupada's factually saying here. But I think it is true that Prabhupada is giving some weight to that point, that it's not just that that the man is lusty and unrestrained, but there's some expertise there. And if we read this section of Puranjana, that's what's going on. There's some dealings there where he started off by saying, well, whose daughter are you? That is to say, are you under someone's control or protection? And then, where have you come from? And who are these people with you? Who's this snake? And then you're so beautiful, and you're so shy. You're like shyness personified. And won't you please put aside your shyness and look at me? So he's progressively coming on to her, as the saying goes. He doesn't just pounce on her and say, okay, let's go. But step by step, where are you from? Whose daughter are you? And how did you ever get so beautiful as this? And why are you so shy? And so on. So there's an expertise there, or what would you say, a progressive process there. But the feature that Prabhupada is taking is this feature of boldness and aggressiveness, which without which it really becomes kind of not as exciting. And Prabhupada's commenting here on her use of the word vira, my dear hero, which is cognate with our English word virile also, and with the Latin vir, man. So there's this, that's what she's saying is attractive to me, that you're, well, she cites other things, your Priya Darshana, very nice to look at, and you're magnanimous, and you're virile. You're not, you know, a 100-pound weakling with your teeth chattering and trying to decide whether or not you can say anything to me or not. And no. You know, he's full on. He's heroic, and he'll do anything. He'll rope 7 bulls. What is that? There's an old blues song. Let's see what it is. I walked 17 miles of barbed wire, wear a cobra snake for a necktie. And I forget the rest of it. And then it says, who do you love? You know, some skinny little fearful punk, or me? You know, who do you love? Who do you love? I'm powerful. I'm like Lord Shiva, you know, he wears a cobra snake for a necktie. So that feature, that a woman wants a man who's heroic, who's powerful. And the girl herself says, Vera, my dear hero. So she's attracted by that heroic nature of the man, which implies a certain boldness. It's not tentative. It's not, well, all things, you know, would you consider the possibility of perhaps our, you know, getting a little closer with one another? You know, he's strong. And she's like, oh. Now, when it gets as far as, you know, getting beaten up in Central Park, no, that's, you know, who wants that? But a powerful, heroic man, you know, not a puppy dog. Is that okay? And is this physiology? No, it's psychology. It's psychology. My sense, by the way, is that Prabhupada's being sort of deliberately provocative in this purport. There's nothing in the commentaries of the Acharyas that speaks of this, at least the commentaries I've seen. But Prabhupada's taking the initiative to perhaps be a little extra provocative. And I won't go further than that in reading his mind. We're trying to read his mind. But the central principle of it, as far as I can see, is this idea reflected in the Sanskrit word vira, or the Latin word vir, or the English word virile, a man who's, let me just for fun, I can see my trusty companion says.
Guru Maharaj, we're over time on the call.
Yeah, but we're only 1 minute over time.
I need to leave, so would someone take the chat? Saraswati Machi.
Okay.
American Heritage Bureau is having showing masculine spirit, strength, vigor, power, to be a real man. Another dictionary, a masculine energy, forcefulness or strength in a marked degree. So that's that, I think, is what we're seeing as the essence of Prabhupada's comment here. And let's have kirtan. Yes. Thank you.
Krishna Kunte Prabhuji, would you be available to lead our closing, very short kirtan? Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Bo. Mr. Bhagavad Gita, Pariraja, Charyas, Total Sat, Shri Srimad is Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramamsa, Pariraja, Charya, Astotal Sat, Shri Srimad is Divine Grace, Guru Maharaj Das Swami Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shyamla Namacharya Sri Radha Sakura Ki Jai, Prem Se Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the devotees, all glories to the devotees, all glories to the devotees. Jai Shri Guru and Guranga Guru Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you so much to all. We continue with our Bhagavatam class tomorrow. His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj Shri Ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Gurudev.